Alright, this is my honest account. I tried to give account of this before, but I'm under a lot of stress, and so I didn't operate the camera right. Some of it ain't going to turn out right, and I said some cuss words in there. Maybe I'll leave them out this time if I can help it. This is an honest account of what happened during the year of 2011 in Brevard, North Carolina. I've already uploaded the other video to my channels. It's in there. I'm going to do this one too so that you can get a better one, because some of it glitched. What happened in 2011? I'm going to stick to the point. In 2011, during the months of April and the months of April and May of 2011, this is what happened involving the Brevard Police Department and the Brevard Sheriff's Department. And the officers that I'm going to mention here in this video are the ones that I'm calling out for the evil that they did to 3 disabled citizens, you know, of Transylvania County. Okay? Now, and you know, I'm not going to apologize about smoking in these videos. My nerves are messed up. You know, I've got post-traumatic stress over all this mess and other stuff that happened in my past. And I'm not doing well, you know. And, you know, I feel like I'm going to die within the next couple of days. You understand? I wanted you to be able to hear what the story is, the real story, my account of it, before that happens, because they don't want this to go to court. They keep on lying, getting people over in Asheville that ruled against me in other lawsuits. They're giving those people my case, and I want to start this case by saying this at the very beginning of it. Back in, you know, years ago, many years ago, back to 2004 and 5, and up into 2008, I sued a company in Brevard called, you know, Farrell Log Structures, owned by Willie Farrell. And in that case, a judge, a magistrate judge, heard that case. His name's Judge Dennis Howell. And he was hateful against me. He caused me to have to be transported from his courtroom in the ambulance because of the way he was treating me being disabled and having problems with blood pressure. And I take blood pressure medications that 60, 70-year-old people take because of my problems and my disorders. And lo and behold, I asked my attorney, Tom Roberts. I first told him that I don't consent to Judge Howell, Judge Dennis Howell, over there in Asheville. Ain't nothing but a racist Klansman of the Ku Klux Klan, as far as I believe. And you know, Judge Howell, the reason I say it is because he holds the record in all that district over there for throwing out the cases of minorities who have race issues against somebody. And I'm not just talking about blacks. I'm talking about underprivileged white people that try to sue corrupt companies. What they do is give the case to Judge Dennis Howell, that magistrate over there, that crooked magistrate. They give it to him, and he kills the case before it can go to court. And he does that, you know, consistently does that for these evil corporations, these elite people that mistreat, you know, underclass, middle class, you know, underclass white kids, minorities, blacks, Latinos, Mexicans. And Judge Dennis Howell, see, he has the record for doing that. And I've met him. In my opinion, he is nothing but a racist, cold, evil old man. You understand? And I told him what I thought about him when I was in his courtroom. He mistreated me. He tried to throw out my case. And, you know, he caused it to where I was so sick in his courtroom that I had to be transported out of his courtroom by ambulance with my blood pressure dangerously high and my heart rate so bad I thought I was having a heart attack in his courtroom. So what happens After I told Tom Roberts that I don't want Judge Dennis Howell to hear my case, and I asked him, I mean, it's easy, y'all. You understand? All that had to happen was give the case to another magistrate that hadn't heard my cases before and tried to throw them out and rule against me in the past. Because he's prejudiced against me. Do you realize where I'm coming from? And not because necessarily my skin color, but he's prejudiced and he can't look at this from a fresh viewpoint because he's ruled against me in other cases. And see, I wish a real attorney, I wish a real attorney like the one I have, Tom Roberts, would have somebody helping him, because David Mahoney and all those crooked liars that almost killed me, and two other handicapped white women back in the year 2011. You know what? They got 3 of the biggest law firms in the United States of America representing their crooked asses. You understand where I'm coming from? And so I don't like the way it went. Do you know what they did? They gave my case right to Judge Dennis Howell. Like slapping in my face telling me, you ain't nobody important. We're going to give it right to Dennis Howell anyhow. Gave it to Dennis Howell. How did he get it? How did he get my case when he's heard 2 other lawsuits of mine? It's not right, man. It's not. And I want people to hear about it. I already uploaded my other video I made before, and it has some 4-letter words in it. This might have some in it, so just brace yourself, because I'm an average human being. I do get upset, but I can't get too upset because of my heart and the rest of my body. I'm just lame. And so there's only a little bit I can do. I might be able to cuss about this, you know, in this. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell about what happened. Now, back in 2011, during the months of April and May of 2011, I was harassed. I was electronically monitored using my track phone. My track phone. See, I've been talking to people that used to work for Caporium, and they're telling me what they were doing in Caporium. And so now I've heard a nightmare of things. I do not like it. You understand where I'm coming from? They electronically monitored my cell phone. They were following me around, harassing me, looking at people that I called from my cell phone and contacting those people behind my back. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't appreciate it. I'm outraged that I'm being treated like that. And, you know, I don't care if the sheriff, David Mahoney, told the people at Caporium and that other, I don't know the name of it. It's right there off of Probart Street, or one of the streets right there. There's a little small building where they tap people's phones and monitor people and break the U.S. Constitution daily and at night, and daily and nightly. And you know, I speak nothing but curses against people that don't honor the Constitution and the rights of every citizen in this nation. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's a company, a telephone company, any kind of company. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the Sheriff's Department in Transylvania County. I'm disappointed in the Police Department in Transylvania County. I'm disappointed in Caporium. And I don't know, I can't remember the name of that other thing right now. Some guy's supposed to tell me something about it in a couple of days. Is talking to a private investigator. But I'm going to tell you something. This is the account of what really happened, y'all. Alright, and it's not dressed up. It's not, you know, this is no hype. I don't have anything to gain from it. It's going to be about 1 hour long video, just like the other one was. And I'm going to go through it to make sure that I went above and beyond all I could to at least tell you what the people you voted in Transylvania County to protect our citizens have really been doing to us. Alright? Now, back in April of 2011, like I told you, they were monitoring my phone illegally. I'm not a felon. They were trying to make it look like I was a terrorist who was part of a gang network that involved 3 gangs. One of the gangs that they falsely claimed that I was a part of, or were trying to investigate to see if I was a part of, is called the Aryan Brotherhood. The other one is called the Muslim Brotherhood, and the other gang is called the Folk Nation gang. And so these gangs that they were accusing me of supposedly being a part of and being a so-called terrorist, you know, this is what happened in 2011 to Michael Kitchen, me. You understand what I'm telling you? So in 2011, Patrick Barton, an investigator for the Brevard Police Department under Philip Harris, the chief of police, Patrick Barton and Aaron Thompson, investigator Aaron Thompson. Now these two white racists, along with Chief Harris, and he's a racist too, you know, and they're the terrorists, not me. I'm not a terrorist. They are, and I'll explain exactly why I feel the way I do in this video. Patrick Barton was investigating me for a very long time, months and months, trying to prove that I was a terrorist. You know, because he honestly believed that I was one. Patrick Barton served in the U.S. military, went over to Afghanistan, and probably is probably just as guilty. Like when you know, a lot of people get killed over there. You know what I'm saying? They get to where they're fighting against Arabs, and Patrick Barton, he has post-traumatic stress from the war, and as you can see, I've got a beard right now because I just grew it out. I shaved my face clean, as some of y'all have seen in my videos, so it don't matter if I'm wearing a beard or not. I'm still not a terrorist. Patrick Barton made several comments back in 2011 about me being a terrorist and a goddamn Muslim, as he put it, and nothing but a terrorist, and they were monitoring me and harassing people that were calling me on the phone, bothering my life, messing with me so severely in my situation and my friends that some of them didn't even want to be my friends anymore because the police were harassing them, just because they seen their numbers over there at that Kaporian place that violated my constitutional rights too. They're looking at my cell phone and keeping track of people that I'm calling, and were harassing people and lying and contacting people behind my back at the time because I didn't have the knowledge of it then. Since then, like I said, there's people that you know, don't work for that place anymore, and some of them, well, one of them at least that does, is still over there. But you know, people are starting to find out what's happening, man, and it ain't okay. And you know, what ended up happening was Patrick Barton was harassing me. He was following me around. I was being followed by various different police officers from the Brevard Police Department. They would follow me around and harass me and ask me who I was and what I was doing, and to present my ID when they already knew who I was. And it happened over at least 15 times over a 2-month period. You understand? It even happened before April of 2011. It happened before that. And so, you know, I was harassed. I felt not good about it. I was afraid because Patrick Barton had pulled a gun on me, you know, more than one time, and had made references to shooting me on more than one occasion, and so had Aaron Thompson. And anyhow, make a long story short, you know, with the hysteria and a bunch of lies that they put together, Patrick Barton, a SWAT team, a military police state-style SWAT team, came to the apartment 5A there at Mountain Glen Apartments in Brevard, North Carolina, in the month of April of 2011, and Sheriff David Mahoney was in on it. He was there. You understand? You know, and you know, he and another guy under him had a sledgehammer, a 20-pound sledgehammer, and they started beating the door of the apartment with a 20-pound sledgehammer. That's how they knocked on it, was starting to hit it with that thing. And my aunt was scared to death. She's a 55-year-old disabled woman, and she was scared to death about what they were doing. And I walked. I mean, I was half asleep. I'm on prescription medications, Like I told you, my health is not very good then. It's not even good now. And, you know, I came to the door and looked through the peephole and seen him hitting that door with that sledgehammer, and I was asking him, what are you doing, man? What's going on? I'm trying to open the door up, but you keep on hitting it, and it's jarring my hand when I try to grab the doorknob. Can you stop hitting it long enough to let me open the door? And so I open up the door, and I believe it was David Mahoney there, and they all had bulletproof jackets on. Bulletproof jackets, full riot gear, basically. And you know, assault rifles with laser capacities. In other words, they had laser sight point rifles. One of them standing back behind a tree. And I looked out there and I said, what's wrong? What's happening? You know? And he said, I'm going to tell you what's happening. You don't make any sudden moves and get your goddamn ass out here. And I said, well, I don't have any weapons. Why y'all have guns pointed at my head for? Because I wanted to know why there was live ammunition pointed at a citizen's head for. You know, and they all had guns pointed at me. More than 6 officers had live hair trigger pistols pointed at me. You understand? That's the real thing that happened back in April of 2011. So I was shaking, and I stepped out there onto the concrete. And Patrick Barton ran up and started choking me. And I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. And then they tried to accuse me of having drugs. And he was reaching into my pockets, pulling stuff out of my pockets, accusing me of being a drug dealer. And I told him I'm not a drug dealer. I don't have any drugs. I didn't do anything. So he kept choking me until I passed out and hit my head on the concrete sidewalk. They had to call the ambulance. See, they came looking for a fight out of me, and instead they you know, easily overpowered a disabled man, middle-aged man. You know, so that's what happened. The ambulance came. I was so incoherent after being choked, I couldn't even talk to the ambulance correct, and I couldn't hardly stand up. I was dizzy, and so they wound up taking me to the police department and trying to question me, trying to get a confession out of me about gang involvements and about being a Muslim and about being a terrorist. And I kept telling them I'm not a terrorist, I'm not a danger to the community. You know, I don't even own a gun, and I don't know what this is about because it's just weird, you know. And they were going to try to keep me there overnight in the jail. But Magistrate Kyle Justice came in there and got in an argument with Patrick Barton and was telling them that they didn't have a warrant. Why was I arrested in the first place? For what? And that I couldn't stay overnight. That I had to go home. And so there was an argument between Patrick Barton and Magistrate Kyle Justice at that time. I ended up going home. Because I hadn't done anything, y'all. They didn't have a warrant. They just kidnapped me out of my apartment, is what happened. And they lied against me. Told a bunch of lies against me. Under the direction of crooked David Mahoney, that sheriff. That y'all, if y'all ought to be ashamed after hearing this, that you voted for David Mahoney. You should have voted for somebody else. Don't you know that? So anyhow, David Mahoney done that against me and was directing Patrick Barton, using Patrick Barton's you know, post-traumatic problem in a situation that could have easily got me killed, because Patrick Barton, he was going in and out of, you know, being sane. You know, at some point he was talking about goddamn Muslims, and it looked like his hand was shaking. It looked like the trigger was going to just shoot me right in the head. And I was trying to talk to him to bring him back to reality. You know? And I said, man, look, man, you went to school with me. Don't you remember me? I'm not from some other country. I don't know what you've been through, but it is not my damn fault, man. I don't know. You understand? And so, you know, that's what was happening. And they had to let me go back in April. because they didn't have a warrant. They're just harassing a citizen, like what happens a lot of times out there, where they end up killing a person or just picking on people because nobody holds them accountable. And that's what they done against me. You understand that? That's why I uploaded my video a few minutes ago that I was talking about. And I'm going to continue speaking against David Mahoney, because he's nothing but a fake imposter who's breaking the laws of the Constitution and hurting people. And they've been responsible already for killing not only blacks, but they've been killing underprivileged white people. They murdered plenty of people over there at that sheriff's department. They murdered plenty of people and abused plenty of people. So, you know, this ain't a 100% race issue here. This is an issue where you got a guy over there doing things that, you know, he ain't got no business doing. That's David Mahoney for you right there. And so, you know, he ended up, you know, Patrick Barton told me, he said, I couldn't get you this time. He said, but you better watch your damn back. He said, because you're going to be right back in here again. That's what he told me. And I told him I ought to go tell the magistrate what you just said, is what I told him. And I mean, the way he looked at me, looked to me like he might even pull a gun on me in the sheriff's department when I was trying to leave back in April of 2011. So I left, and after that, I was still being harassed by Patrick, following me around the town, using my cell phone to find out where I was. It ain't hard to do, you know what I mean? I mean, they're just abusing their power and following me around, playing war games with my life. And it ain't funny, man. You understand what I'm telling you? I don't appreciate it one damn bit. You understand? Now, y'all made my life hell. Don't try to turn this around, make it look like I was in a gang, because I wasn't. I wasn't in no gang. Y'all the ones that's terrorists, not Michael Kitchen. Patrick Barton, you're the one that act like a terrorist. I want to know, I want to tell the people of Brevard, why is Patrick Barton even an officer in the first place? He's a post-traumatic problem. The highway patrolman wouldn't even take Patrick Barton because he's nothing but a liability because of his problems. And I don't have nothing to do with it. It don't make me any difference if a person's an Arab or not. I'll be friends with an Arab. What's wrong with Arabs? You see what I'm saying? We got plenty of Arabs over here in America, and they're not terrorists. I don't know what the problem is, y'all. I have no idea what it is, you know. And you know, I'm not Arab. I'm not an Arab. I'm not you know, they just label people like me African American. The truth about my blood is I'm a multicultural Mongoloid. Do you understand what that is? That means I got blood from Indians, people from Tibet, where the Indians came over the land bridge. I got, like a lot of different stuff involved in my culture. You understand? And different kind of people, different colors of people, white peoples and yellow people, brown people and black people. And so, you know, there wasn't any reason for them to be bothering me in the first place and bothering my life like they did and making my life hell. There was absolutely no reason for it. So anyhow, after April 2011, Sheriff Mahoney and them, because I was threatening them, telling them if they didn't stop coming to my apartment, Call Justice told them I'm not a threat to the community, and I am not a threat. I went to school with him. He's a magistrate. And they kept trying to hang on to it, trying to play slave master over me the whole time. Okay? Harassing me at the grocery store when I'm trying to go get groceries for my sick relative on my bicycle. And telling me, we know where you are at all times. And I said, well, alright, that's fine, you know where I am at all times. Why don't you leave me alone? You know? How about that? Now, how would you like it if it was you being treated that way, the citizens of Transylvania County? How would you like it if that was your son or daughter being treated like I was treated? You understand? And this ain't court. I ain't gonna make it to court. I don't think I'm gonna live 2 more days. My heart's been fluttering. I've been having heart palpitations, waking up in my sleep, barely able to breathe, and I'm going to die. Now, this is my living testament, the last of my life, to tell you what happened and how I feel about David Mahoney and his damn lies. You understand? I didn't vote for David Mahoney. I did not vote for him as sheriff. You know, y'all should have voted for somebody else. I'm just telling you. You know? So, you know, that's what he was doing and guilty of. He's guilty of doing all that against me. Sending Patrick Barton and Aaron Thompson to follow me around. You know? And contacting, I had a couple of girlfriends I was trying to have, and they told me that, you know, they were approached by certain people at the sheriff's department, and people calling them investigators, talking about, you know, telling them stuff that I'm a strange person, a weird person, all this. I couldn't even have a date, you know, and so, you know, that's how they were doing, ruining my life. And they did it for a long time. You know, they did it before I got engaged to Natasha. They were doing that. And I had to go out of the county to even find a girlfriend. All the lies they're telling about me. You understand? So, you know, the same SWAT team of racist terrorist Klans members, Ku Klux Klans members, because David, he made several references to the Ku Klux Klan. You know? And I want to tell y'all something. I can't do any single thing about the Ku Klux Klan. You know, this is a free country, and if you want to be in the Ku Klux Klan, that's a game. You can be in one. This is the United States of America, and people can have a march, even if all that they're talking about is hatred. Well, why in the hell do you want to mess with me for? You know, and claim that I'm part of an organization that's causing urban terrorisms. It don't exist. It don't exist. Y'all nothing but a bunch of hysterical, sick people at that sheriff's department. And you've abused a lot of people. You know it. You've murdered a lot of people, and you know it. Some of them have been whites. Some of them have been blacks, and you know what you did. And you're going to go straight to hell for what you did. And, you know, I get upset about this, y'all. This ain't for the camera. This ain't for publicity. This is because I know this ain't going to make it to court, because I don't think I'm going to live to it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I can't continue. And, you know, I want somebody to be able to hear at least what happened. That's what I want with this. And I'm not under oath. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Alright? Now, the weeks passed between April, when they came and kidnapped me out of my apartment, took me to that sheriff's department, tried to get false testimony out of me, trying to, you know, drag my name through the Aryan Brotherhood and the Muslim Brotherhood and the Folk Nation. Tell me, what does that sound like? How can a person be part of 3 gangs? I don't even know enough about gang culture to tell you what it is. You understand? I'm just one individual that's lame. I'm lame, man. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Why don't you understand, is what I asked them police officers. I said, well, y'all waiting for me to fight? I said, I'm sick. Y'all missed my prime a long time ago. I'm old, man. I ain't able to do nothing. If I could do something, I don't think I have enough courage. Because when you got a gun pointed at your head, I'm going to tell you, they hit me, man. They hit me in my knee. My knee's still messed up. What does martial arts do for you against guns and people kicking you, daring you to do a damn thing? I want to know what martial arts does. This ain't no Steven Seagal film. This is what really happens out here. You understand? This ain't Hollywood and people doing kicks and punches. I got abused and injured by the sheriff's department and the police department. That's the real side of what happened here. No matter if you're afraid of me or not. That's what happened. You understand? So you got nothing to fear. I can't run. I probably can't run. I mean, I can run 100 yards, but I'm hurting after it. You understand? And I do not feel good. So get back to the point. In May of 2011, the same SWAT team of a bunch of racist white guys, and see, this is what's getting on my nerves. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They came to my apartment again, the same team, with military clothes on, some of camouflage. Bulletproof vest, sniper rifles, assault rifles, a whole bunch of pistols, a whole duffel bag filled with tasers. There must have been, I mean, they opened up that duffel bag and it was filled with tasers and pepper spray. Looked like they'd never run out. You know, for a guy that's got a hernia, limping, I'm hurt. I'm disabled. You know? And so they came back again, and each time they came to apartment 5A, I was getting up out of the bed from laying down. On pain medicine, blood pressure medicine, and go to the door again. So I got going down through the door trying to see what was happening. And my aunt, Charlene Honeycutt, she was telling them, "Why are you coming back again?" she said. "I don't want y'all to cause any more trouble. Please leave." And they were cursing her and pushing at her. And I walked out there and I asked them, why are they back after Carl Justice told them to stay away? I said, "What are you doing?" I was asking questions. "I want to see a warrant." They said, "We don't need a goddamn warrant." And I was asking, "Well, am I under arrest?" And they said, "No, you're not under arrest. You're going to get your goddamn ass on the ground." So, you know, they came in, and at first they didn't even, I mean, they were beating up my aunt. They didn't, I mean, they attacked her. They pushed a 55-year-old retarded woman, mentally handicapped woman, down where her head hit the table, coffee table, 55 years old, threw her through the air like a dish rag, and her head hit the table. And I was just so shocked, I wasn't failing to comply. I just couldn't believe what they were doing. I looked and seeing them standing on top of a 55-year-old woman that's yelling, frail voice screaming, "Help. They're killing me. Don't kill my nephew." And she was even praying to God while they're standing on top of her. And so, you know, I was in shock, asking, you know, no question at that point, because I didn't even know what was happening. The only thing that came out of my mouth that I can remember was, "How many of y'all does it take to beat up an old woman?" You know, and then that's when I got bomb rushed and tackled, thrown into the entertainment center. You know, like they were trying to be in WWF wrestling, and they were trying to get me to fight them. They pushed me against the wall. They kicked at me. One of them kicked me in the knee and messed my knee up. One of them tried to kick me in the groin, but missed and kicked me in my hernia instead and opened up my abdominal wall about 2 inches. My muscles ripped when they kicked me in my abdomen. And so I was standing there in shock, and I did ask them if I'm under arrest, and they said, "No, I'm not under arrest." And I said, "Well, what the hell is this? What is going on? You know, what did I do?" And Officer Sergeant Sean Miller grabbed me around my throat and choked me. And then he said, I'm going to show you what's going on when I throw your ass into the ground. So he threw me onto the ground. All right? And he took one handcuff out of his pocket and he clamped it on my left wrist so hard that you heard the bones pop in my wrist, and left it clamped. And I mean, it's a bad pain. It's terrible pain, man. You know what I mean? Terrible. And, you know, as I see my hand turning black and blue, I looked over at him and I said, why are you doing this for? I couldn't believe it. And I said, I can't feel my hand, man. I said, here's my other hand though. Can you loosen the cuff? And then he said, I don't want your other goddamn hand. He said, don't you move. I said not to move. Then he took my head and he turned it over to where Charlene Honeycutt, 55-year-old white woman that could barely walk on, she had to walk around with a walker. And he said, see that? And they were standing on top of her, pushing their boot into her neck, cutting off her airway, stomping her, standing on her, telling her what she wasn't nothing but a useless piece of shit, and that she didn't have any goddamn rights, is what Chad Farmer was saying out of his mouth. And Jason Page, beating up an old woman. I don't have any, how can I respect people like that? You know? And I looked over there, and he said, what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, what am I supposed to do, is what I asked. I said, I'm a human being, man. I'm laying here on the floor. I'm hurt. It feels like I got the flu. I got kicked and I got a hernia. My knee is messed up. And I want to know what you think I can do, is what I want to know. What can I do? You know? And then he said, I don't think I like your attitude right now. He said, I'm going to give you a chance to stand up. Then he went and got a can of mace while I was laying on the ground. And he said, do you see this right here? That's what one of the other officers was saying. And I wasn't moving. I had the handcuff still on my hand, turning my hand blue. And I was trying to be as still as I could. And he started spraying me in the eyes. Then I started wiggling a little bit because it hurt. And I closed my eyes and I brought my hand, and he said, now you've done it. He said, now you moved. So then one of them stuck the boot on against my face and took the can of pepper spray and sprayed it up into my nostrils. Mace. They had mace and pepper spray, spraying me with two different kind of things. Big old cans that big. And they sprayed me, and I was coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. And finally, I said, what does a guy have to do to get arrested? I've been getting hurt, man. I just want to go and get arrested. I don't know what's going on. And they kept spraying me and spraying me, and then I was laying there. And then he said, now if you, he said, what we want you to do is stand up. And he said that if you don't, I'm going to have to stand you up. So he grabbed me by my throat, lifted me up off the ground with one handcuff still on my hands, and said, what are you going to do about it? And pushed me into the wall. And I said, I'm too sick to do nothing. I can't see, I can't hardly breathe, and I don't know why y'all want to fight me for. That's the real story about what was going on in Apartment 5A in May of 2011. Now, finally, after they kept spraying me with that spray and roughing up my aunt right in front of me and daring me to do anything, they shoved me on down the hallway, and I hit the ground a couple of times, and then they lift me back up by my throat, back up. And finally, he said, I don't think he's getting it. So one of them got I think it was Chad Farmer, the first one that shot me with a taser. I can't really recall exactly which one shot me first, because there was a couple of officers in there. There were sheriff's department people in there and police department people in there. And they were shooting me with tasers, like just target practicing on my body. So they were shooting me with all these tasers, and I seen these cord looking like cords coming out, little wires. Some of them touched one another, and there was sparks a couple times. And you know, I kept getting shocked and going like this a whole lot. And I wasn't really saying too much at that point. And then I fell down, and when I fell down, I noticed a flame at the right side of my face where that wire was touching the other wire. And my jacket was on fire at that point. The darts had caused the fire with the flammable mace and the, you know, the pepper spray or whatever was either that or you know, some that I sprayed on my hair or something, you know. I think it was the mace that caused the fire on my clothing. And I was on fire. The floor was on fire, a little part of the floor. And I started to take my hand and pat the flames out. And Sean Miller said, "I told you not to move, goddammit." He said, "You just don't listen." And I said, "Well, I'm burning, man. Can somebody put this..." I patted the flame off my face because it burnt it singed some of my beard. I got it out by smacking it. But my clothes was drenched. And it kept on burning right over to the side of on my jacket. I couldn't put that flame out. And I kept patting at it. So then they stomped on my neck with a boot to try to pin me to the ground while I was on fire. And I kind of felt like I was losing consciousness at that point, but they rolled me over, and at that point I started to yell, "I'm burning to death. They're trying to kill me," I said. They came to kill me. I just was yelling that. And my girlfriend, I was engaged to her at one point, and she opened the door up in the back room and was crying, you know, and saying, "Please don't kill him. What did he do? Please put the fire out. Let him put the fire out." Now, when they seen my girlfriend open that door, Chad Farmer started shoot. He reached down into this bag, like a military camouflage looking bag, and he picked up a taser, and he said, "Bitch, don't move." And he shot my girlfriend, just standing there unarmed, with the tasers. And when he shot it, it looked like maybe one of those little dart things might have hit my girlfriend, but the other one hit some stuff. As it hit something, and then when she stood there, another person shot another taser at her. And she started to convulse, it looked like to me, and I was blinking off and on. I had pepper spray in my eyes, but I was doing like this, thinking I was on fire, and I could still see because I wanted to make sure she was alright. And I was worried about her, telling her, "Please don't hurt her," you know. And anyhow, what it looked like to me was that she was convulsing, you know, kind of knocked her. She fell over sideways as that taser hit her, and she hit a dresser that was in the room where they were tasing her. And on that dresser there was some charcoal lighter fluid, you know, can with the top up, because we were going to have a cookout. I was back in the room putting some charcoal, you know, grill together. Up on top of my dresser there was a you know, a charcoal grill sitting there with charcoal briskets that was pre-lighter. You know, in other words, it came with the fluid in there, and I also had just a little bit of that charcoal left, and then I had some other charcoal that didn't have the lighter fluid in it, mixed together in there. And it was sitting on top of there, a bag of it was. along with some Coleman oil for a Coleman lamp that was sitting on top of that dresser. And what it looked like to me as they kept shooting at those tasers like they did is that either one of the tasers hit something on the dresser and pierced it and caused you know, some of the stuff to fall over. I don't know if the fire started when that happened or if it started after she fell into the dresser and hit the ground. The stuff hit the ground, and they were, you know, being violent. The police were. They were kicking stuff around and you know, shooting those tasers. And the fire that they had already started on me had already started a fire. And the fire that they started in the bedroom, I believe to have been started by tasers being shot around lighter fluid, is what I think. That's what I believe happened with that. But no matter what you believe, the police started the fires by coming in an apartment without a warrant and trying to take people prisoner and kidnap people that they didn't have no right to come in there and mess with. Alright? Their actions caused the fires. When they knocked all that stuff over, I mean, it was, to me, it looked like the lamp fell, and, you know, the jug of it was like a tin. It was something, it was made out of like a really thin metal that was on top of the dresser. And so I believe that that was what started the fire. It was either that or the fire that they had already started was just spreading. The one that they started on me with all that pepper spray and stuff. And so at some point, even though there were fires on the floors, they weren't even paying attention to putting the fires out. You know, the police weren't. They were just beating up Natasha, abusing her, kicking her, and choking her. And they shot her with some sort of a needle that looked like they shot her with some needle. It had something in it, and they shot me with the same needle. Same type of needle. They had needles injecting citizens with something, you know. And Chad Farmer ran out of the room and said, "We got to get the fuck out of here." Sean Miller made the same similar comment, "We need to get the fuck out of here. It's time to get the fuck out of here," something like that. They ran out of our apartment and left us in there with those flames like that, is what happened. And so, you know, I've been shocked so many times and sprayed with so much pepper spray and had my airway cut off and was being stomped like that. I believe it is a miracle that I could even get out of the smoking apartment, you know, because they left me in there, man. They shot me with something and left me on the ground, you know, injecting me with some kind of needle, injecting Natasha with that stuff, whatever it was. And you know, I remember, you know, just kind of feeling bewildered. And I found my way out, you know, by holding on to the wall. At some point I gotten outside, and by the time I gotten outside, I felt like I was still on fire. I thought that I was. I couldn't see very well. My eyes were swollen. You know, and I was yelling, you know, saying that, you know, I still believed that I was on fire and was trying to put it out. I was afraid I was still on fire. But when I got out there, I remember somebody shooting me with another taser. I was choked, about unconscious again, and they put my arms and legs behind my back. Chad Farmer, again the same officers outside, Sean Miller, and some other officers, and you know, they put my hands behind my back in a hog tie position. In other words, they shackled my ankles and my wrists behind my back and lift me up off the ground. with the full weight of my body pulling against those cuffs that were on way too tight. And it felt like having your wrists and ankles burned, having them burned off. So they just hold me like that, you know. And I heard people screaming. I still heard other screams, and I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't sure if people were still in the fire or not. And they took me. Now, see, this is what Sheriff Mahoney is responsible for, because people don't realize he was part of the team. Sheriff Mahoney was. He knew what was happening because he was there. He was there. The other guys were there. Patrick Barton was there. You know, all those officers, a whole team that involved the sheriff's department and the police department, both of them together, were there breaking my constitutional rights, trying to arrest me without a warrant. And they came in there doing that. They started a fire. The police done that by shooting them tasers around. See, it's against police protocol to shoot tasers around flammable mace and flammable pepper spray. They're not supposed to shoot that many tasers into a person like that. It's just not right. You know, and it does cause the tasers to malfunction, and it does cause sparks, and it's not the first time it's happened. You can get on the computer and look and find, you know, a couple hundred incidents where police have been shooting tasers around stuff that's flammable, and it's blown up people, it's burned people, third-degree burns, it's burned down entire homes. This is not something that you can just make up, man. This is what really happened. You understand what I'm telling you? In 2011, May. So they put me into the back of a police car, you know, and, you know, I was yelling, "I'm going to tell what you did. I'm going to tell what you did," is what I was yelling. So one of them opened up the police car again, Sean Miller and all of them, and they said, "I'm going to turn the heat up on this nigga." One of them reached in the front of the car, turned the heat during May of 2011 on full blast. Yeah. In a police car with the windows rolled up, sheriff's department car, with me hogtied back in the back seat with pepper spray all over my body. And so when that heat crunk up like that, it started to burn my face, my lungs, my nose. I couldn't breathe, and I was yelling, "Help, help, help." Does that sound like a terrorist to you? Now, they left me in there. I don't know how. They felt like I was in there for hours, but it could have been 15 minutes, but it was long enough. You understand? You do never want to have to go through it. They left me in there like that, and I couldn't breathe. Finally, I was passing in and out of consciousness, and finally, everything went black. And I woke up in the police car with a guy saying something, and I started yelling, "Help." Just yelling it. And he got on either got on his cell phone or walkie-talkie or something, and he said, "God damn it, he's still alive," he said. So what I believe happened was, the way I look back at it, was they put me in the back of that car and tried to suffocate me to death. You understand? There's been plenty of people that died asphyxiated. It's called asphyxiation. Like that. So they knew what they was doing, man. They was trying to kill me. That's what happened. And I was yelling help. I was praying. I was cursing. I was crying. I thought I was on fire. As soon as I woke up, I thought I was being burned to death again. Because that's what it felt like on my skin. My whole head felt like it was being burned off. And I'm not under oath. This ain't the courtroom, but this is what happened. This is what Judge Dennis Howe don't want you to hear. Don't even want the citizens to know what happened. David Mahoney don't want you to know. David Mahoney does not want you to know about what happened to Michael Kitchen and Natasha and Charlene Honeycutt. They don't want you to know what happened. They want to try to censor this and silence me. They wanted me to die. They left me to die in the goddamn fire that they started. Do you understand that? They started a fire as soon as they opened that door, as far as I believe. Without a warrant. And what would I have? How can you make this up? Do me a favor and research this if you watch my video. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to die. Do you understand me? I'm telling you, I'm going to die. This may be the last video that you see about me being alive. I don't think I can live with this pain. I've been living like a refugee that can't sleep. I keep throwing up. I feel poisoned by this situation. And I don't like it. I don't. And that's what they did, man. I'm just wanting you to understand so it don't happen to your son or daughter. Transylvania County. Because I care about my town. I'm not a terrorist making terrorist plots. I'm going fishing. Do you understand? So, when they put me in that car like they did and took me, when he found out I was back alive, he started swerving the car back and forth and I almost broke my neck. I landed down in the inside the floorboard on my neck the way he was doing. He was still trying to kill me before we got there. And when they got me to the sheriff's department, he got on the radio and said he's being combative, he said. And I yelled, "How can I be combative?" I said, "My neck's broke. I'm burned alive." I was yelling that, hoping that the CB would pick that up. I said, "I'm shackled. I can't move. How am I combative?" They got me to that sheriff's department, and immediately they started to torture me. They lifted me up out of the sheriff's department and started carrying me 50 yards back and forth, hanging from handcuffs. And I was yelling and hollering and screaming and crying. That's the real story about what was happening. Now, not a false story they made up about a meth lab and a so-called God that belongs to a gang nation. I'm an individual that I'm not really that smart. I got some gifts, but it was hysteria from a bunch of racist white guys, that's trying to ruin it for the white people. That's just all it is. There's a bunch of racist people, a handful of them, that ruin it for a bunch of white people. And they mistreat people and act like that. And when they finally got interested and stopped carrying me around hanging like a piece of meat and watching me yell and cry, then they start carrying me inside and carry me into the jail through the garage. They didn't take me through the front. And in the garage, I seen Natasha being tortured in some kind of chair where she was strapped into a chair, and they were slapping her and telling her to shut up. Different police officers was doing that. And I see my aunt. They carried me past her. She was bruised and crying, screaming, "Don't kill Michael. Don't kill Michael." That's what happened in May of 2011. And they took me on in the sheriff's department over there with David Mahoney and his cruelty. He ain't nothing but a terrorist and a murderer. I wonder how many people have you murdered, David? I wonder how many it is. And they threw me through the air into the concrete floor on my shoulder and neck, and shut the door behind me. That's what Chad Farmer and Sean Miller did to me. They didn't think anything about it. They thought that nigger's neck was broken. That's how they think. You understand me? And then finally, after a while, I was still crying because the handcuffs was clamped into the meat on my wrist, and it was hurting. I was in agony. It was torturous, even just to be laying on the ground, not to be suspended in that position, just laying there for each minute seemed like hours. And then David Mahoney, that damn sheriff, he opened up the door and come in there and start interrogating me while I'm still in that position, telling me I might be able to be taken out of it if I can cooperate. And so he was making references. He made references to the Ku Klux Klan. In my opinion, he was saying he was the Ku Klux Klan. The stuff he said.